Well, thanks again for having me here. Who here has ever thought about voting with their dollars? Anybody? Okay, a good amount. Second Vote was founded by our chairman in Nashville, Tennessee, when he and his wife were shopping at the grocery store. And you know, when you go to the grocery store, the clerk will ask you, do you want to donate $1, $5 to Children's Miracle Network or March of Dimes or some charity that you really feel like does some good work. Well, this time when they were at the grocery store, the cause was March of Dimes. And he pressed the $5 donate on the credit card machine, and his wife looked at him kind of puzzled and kind of disgusted. And she was like, "Dave, why are you donating to March of Dimes?" And he replied, "Well, they do some really good work for children. I've given to them for the past 25 years. And once again, she looked at him, puzzled. "Dave, what are you talking about? They aren't pro-life like they claim to be. They do some really awful things. They advocate for abortion, and they do some pretty horrendous things when it comes to research." And he's a pretty well-educated man and had no idea that he's been funding anti-life research through the March of Dimes for the past 25 years. And it dawned on him that he would never vote for whatever March of Dimes advocates for at the ballot box with his first vote. And so that kind of dawned the idea and created this idea called Second Vote. First vote's at the ballot box, the second vote's with the dollars we spend every day. And since he said himself, "I'm a well-educated man," well, the average person may not know where their money's going when they spend it with the company. And he kind of, he's in his later days at his company. He's kind of taken this as his hobby now. He's really passionate about it and wanted to figure out a way to reach the masses, to figure out, hey, what are we voting for when we spend our money at these companies? And we decided to develop an app, and we launched it October of 2013, so we're a little over a year old. And we're very, very excited about the response we've gotten. What we do is we follow the money. And what that means is we look at what groups, causes, and organizations these companies support after we spend our money with them. And specifically around the life issue, our research looks at IRS Form 990s, corporate financial statements, as well as corporate statements of faith or corporate statements of purpose you can find on their investor's website. And we point out if a company supports Planned Parenthood or not, if they support NARAL. And it's really important for us because I don't think anybody here would vote for anything except pro-life policies or candidates, right? And so the premise is, why would we spend our money in places that would fund Planned Parenthood? So that's kind of the premise of what we do. We also look at the issues of marriage, education, Common Core, and school choice, the environment. But Second Vote was founded around the life issue. It's very important. I'm very excited to be a part of a lineup of speakers that have done great work in the life movement. And it's really, really excited to be here. One of our goals is to educate people on where their money is going. As informed voters, we spend a lot of time researching candidates and policies, as Dan was talking about, with all the bills coming through the State House and in Congress. But more often than not, there's a company behind the scenes pushing for these pro-choice bills. And more often than not, it's Planned Parenthood. And any quick Google search will show you that Planned Parenthood's budget is about $1 billion. And unfortunately, half of that comes from our pockets through government appropriations, but the other $500 million comes from private donations. We're about the other $250 million. That comes from companies, either through direct donations or through matching programs that they have as part of their recruitment efforts. And so we find ourselves funding our enemy more often than not, and that's kind of the purpose of Second Vote, is to bring awareness of this. For instance, we'll beat up on Starbucks, the easiest example when it comes to the life issue. They directly fund Planned Parenthood. And we know what Planned Parenthood does with their money. They fund these clinics, and we have some great groups standing out front trying to persuade people that that's not the right thing to do. It's not what God would want us to do. But Planned Parenthood and the NARALs of the world, they also fund candidates. And Planned Parenthood is trying to put people in office that are trying to defeat what we're doing here. And so we're trying to make awareness of the connection that when you buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks, we're funding the left. We're funding pro-choice policies. And it's not just Starbucks. If you download our free app, you'll see out of the 550 companies that we've scored, there are hundreds of companies that are directly funding Planned Parenthood. And there are a lot of nonprofit groups out there that also fund Planned Parenthood. So you have the direct donation, which is a score of 1 on our app, which is liberal. We have 2, which is lean liberal, which is an indirect donation. For instance, if a company like Walmart gives to United Way, we score them as a 2, which is lean liberal, indicating an indirect donation, meaning that Walmart gives to the United Way, which then funds Planned Parenthood. Then we have our neutral companies. We love our neutral companies because you're not buying a liberal cause attached to it. You're actually buying that good service or product that they're offering, and we love that. Then we have our 4 and 5s, our conservative companies, which are the Chick-fil-A's of the world, the Hobby Lobbies of the world, and unfortunately, the left has done a really good job over the last 40 years of bullying these companies into kowtowing to giving money to pro-choice causes. And, you know, why is that? My personal opinion is I was raised as a Southern Baptist in Mississippi, and we were raised not to ruffle any feathers. It's just not polite. And I think the left has seized on that over the past 40 years or so. You know, the left is bullying these corporations into funding Planned Parenthood and NARAL and all these leftist organizations because they know that we're not going to do anything about it. And they don't want the bad PR. The left is really good at bullying these companies and giving them some bad press. Kind of like what Matt Walsh was saying today, social media is the new thing. No corporation wants a nasty Twitter campaign about how they're not helping women's health, or protecting a women's right to choose. That's ridiculous. And so what Second Vote's trying to do is kind of be the counterbalance to that. At Second Vote, I always joke around and say we're trying to do one of the things that conservatives aren't very good at, technology and working together. I got one laugh, thank you, that was a good joke. So the first part of what we're doing is trying to get as many people to download the app as possible to make aware that where our money's actually going, because it does make a difference. Here in Alaska, I pulled some research before I came here. McDonald's funded the Democrat candidate, and Wendy's funded the Republican candidate for Senate. And they were both $10,000 donations. And so there really is a connection of how we spend where we spend our money and how they spend it. And so it's important for all of us to download the app, share it with our friends and family, get on social media and share. We're constantly putting out new content this day and age. As I know the Kirkers know, this is a content-driven business that we're in. As Matt Walsh was saying, it's all about content. He did a great job of talking about how to spit content out on social media. And so the first phase is getting as many people to download the app as possible. But what we're doing on our end back in Nashville is we're actually reaching out to these companies and trying to hold them accountable. You know, we send them letters after we find out where they've given their money and ask them, why are you doing it? Do you actually agree with what Planned Parenthood is doing? Do you plan to continue to give next year? You know, were you bullied into this? We want to know why they're giving our money without our permission to causes we don't believe in. And the reason that they're doing it is they've never been held accountable before. And we're really trying to be a counterbalance to that. And our goal is to be 1 million strong in a year, to where we can go to these companies and say, hey, you know, my name's Jake, I'm with Second Vote. We represent 1 million people with organizations like Alaska Right to Life, and say the average household income is between $40,000 and $50,000. We represent billions of dollars of purchasing power that's never been represented before on our side. And so we're really trying to bring it full circle and do this new thing through an app, which is kind of strange to everybody. But we're very, very excited about it. On the surface, it might just be like, oh, you're an app, it's a cool little knick-knack. And I was telling Haley before I came up here, we were talking about, there's not a whole lot of conservative options out there. It's unfortunate, really, and it's because we haven't really spoken up. And as Dan was saying, these companies aren't going to see the light until we show them the fire. And Second Vote's trying to bring the fire to these companies and say, hey, we're here. It's time to listen to us. And really excited to be a part of it. You know, I didn't plan on speaking more than 10 minutes, but there's a lot of great groups out there that are helping us. Tony Perkins with FRC is a really big ally of us. I'm looking forward to working in the future with Alaska Right to Life and Dan and what he's doing. But yeah, I'm going to open up the floor to any questions. I didn't plan on speaking for too long, but download the app. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Second Vote. We're always looking for new companies to score because, like I said, there's not very many good ones out there. And what's unique about Second Vote is when you download the app, you'll see alternatives. And we really want you, if you're like me, I can't boycott coffee. It's just not, I just can't do it. So I don't go to Starbucks. When you download the app, Starbucks is a score of 1. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see more conservative alternatives. So our goal is really to help you shop your values. It may not be perfect, but you're getting closer to a 5. That's kind of our goal. And in the next couple of weeks, we're really excited to announce that we're releasing a sister app called the Second Vote Shopper app. Where we take our mission so seriously that we're actually going to start rewarding conservatives when they check into business, and they're going to earn points based on the Second Vote score. And so it's kind of natural progression for us to say, hey, here's the information. But now, use that information, and we're going to start rewarding you through gift cards and conservative businesses, and we're trying to get some businesses on board to help us with that. So we're really excited about it. Feel free to come by my table over here if you have any questions. If you want any collateral, just let me know. And with that, I'll open the floor for questions.
Yes, sir. I just want to say I heavily recommend Second Vote. I use the app.
He doesn't like to eat anywhere anymore.
Yeah. I annoy all my family and friends by we're going to the restaurant and I'm pulling up Second Vote. I'm saying, oh no, we can't eat here. So we go somewhere else. But,
His check's in the mail, by the way.
but I do have a question. Sure. There's something I didn't understand on the app. I don't remember what exactly it was. I think it was that you like a rating system or a vote. Basically, you're supposed to like view the companies and vote on something. What is that about? I never understood that.
Well, yeah, so on the app, when you click in, when you search for a company or click on a company, inside the company scorecard, what we call, there's a thumbs up or thumbs down where you can vote up or down on a business. And pretty much what that tells us is a gauge of how many people are actually liking the company. If it's a Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby, thumbs up, and if thumbs down, I'm not going to support this business. And it's kind of our first attempt to gauge how much interest we have in this company, because we really do. Our goal is to go to these companies and say, hey, we got hundreds of thousands of people here that we represent. They don't like what you're doing, or they do like what you're doing. But the goal is to go to these liberal companies and say, hey, we got hundreds of thousands of people that don't like what you're doing. Let's talk about it. See how we can get you out of liberal politics. How about it answer your question? Maybe. Okay. Yes.
With regards to companies organizations that support Planned Parenthood, have you got any positive feedback from the criticizing?
That's a really good question. The feedback that we've gotten from our contacts with these companies, it's what you would expect. It's not very positive. It's a lot of running around, not really answering our questions. They don't want to be on record for it, and that's the problem. We're trying to get them on record. But the answer is no. Get really vague answers, or it's a policy that's been put in place before they got there and they see no need to change it. There's been no employee pushback from it. Very few companies are very honest, and so that's why it takes a really long time to reach out to these companies. It takes multiple attempts to kind of get the answer. You got to rephrase your questions. You kind of really got to fish, because these companies, like I said, they don't want a bad PR campaign, and they're playing it safe. So it's really tough to get them on record and get them to answer the questions that we ask.
Even if we don't get positive feedback, if people can not support those organizations, that's in itself a big problem.
Yeah, so we're going to be putting all these letters we write to the companies on our website. unfortunately, technology is something that's quite tricky, and so we have all these ideas about putting letters up on there. It takes a lot of time for our developers to do, but part of our growth plan is to put the letters out there and show what we're actually asking these companies to put them on record. We want to show that to the public and our users.
So right now, I mean, you're limited to national companies, and is there, like you said, you looked up, locally before you came here, are there plans to look at local franchises and see if there's a difference in spending or local businesses in the future?
Yes, that's something that we're looking at to do, and if you visit our Facebook page, that's kind of the best place to submit a company for our research staff to score. And part of our overall goal is to be able to come down to the local level. Because the closer the dollar is to home, the more likely it is to be conservative because it's in the community. And right now it takes up to a week to do one national company sometimes. And we really want to provide as many alternatives as possible that are conservative. And so we encourage everybody from around the country to submit to us on Facebook companies to score so we can add them. So people in Alaska can go to, Bob's Coffee Shop downtown and they're conservative. Well, the beauty of local companies is they're probably neutral, which we really like. Because like I said earlier, you're not buying a liberal cause attached to it. And so neutral's good. And a lot of these small business owners aren't giving one way or another, but we know their heart. We know they're conservative. And that's why we praise our neutral companies. But yes, it's something that we want to do. Like I said, I encourage everybody to get on Facebook and just start giving us local submissions so we can put them into the app. Yes.
No, you're fine. I actually have a question, Jake, about, I love shopping at Costco, and I know, but I was noticing on your app, obviously it does not have a very good score. And when I looked into, obviously the life issue is the most important to me, so looked that up particularly, and it looked like there was a local Costco that gave like Planned Parenthood a gift certificate or something. And I'm wondering, like, if I went to Costco in Anchorage and I said, hey, I'm doing a fundraiser, do you want to donate a gift card to our silent auction or something, and they did, would that affect the score? I mean, if I obviously gave you that information and you knew it, would it affect the score on the app?
That is a great question, and these are the type of questions that we deal with every day when we have our morning meetings. There are some franchises that are pro-life, like maybe the Costco one here in Anchorage. Right now, it is strictly at the corporate level. And when we get down to these local companies, we're going to kind of get rid of that quote-unquote problem. But right now, that's a great question. There's a Jiffy Lube in Arizona. This gentleman named Jim. He probably calls and emails our office once a month. Jiffy Lube does not score very well on second vote because they're not very good on the marriage issue, they're not very good on the life issue, and he is a devout Christian, as he's told us numerous times, and he keeps telling us, second vote's hurting my business. My Jiffy Lube does not do these things. And we recognize that, and it's not our goal to hurt his business. But it's an opportunity for him, as a franchisee, to write the parent company saying, hey, second vote has pointed out some things that you're doing that I don't agree with. And so that's kind of the snowball effect, as we get a lot of these franchisees kind of recognizing that their parent company is doing really bad things they don't agree with. It's just another arrow we can shoot at this company to stop doing these terrible things. But as we get down to the local companies, yes, we're going to start doing that. But right now, we're strictly at the national level, and we're really excited to dig down and getting into the local stuff. To me, that's fun. Getting down to the local and small businesses is where the action is. Last question. Yes, sir.
Do you now, or do you have plans to attract local politicians or state politicians, or how they vote?
Well, we're a 501c3, so we're not allowed to advocate on anything, and it's something that we have talked about doing. But right now, our mission is following the money with corporations. Sometimes if there's a really big issue out there, and there's a company tied to it, and there happens to be a member of Congress, it may warrant a mention, but unfortunately, legally, we're not allowed to do a whole lot when it comes to members and mentioning them or advocating for or against any legislation or policy. So our focus right now is following the money and helping conservatives shop their values and help them find more conservative alternatives.